Hey there, and welcome back to TalkEasy English. I'm Anna, and I'm so glad you're here. So let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a doctor's office and suddenly forgot how to speak? Like, you had all the words in your head, but the moment they called your name, your brain hit pause. Yeah, I've been there, and not just once. The first time I saw a doctor in English, I was so nervous I almost told them I was allergic to air. It wasn't the pain that scared me, it was the paperwork, the questions, the big words I didn't understand, and that tiny voice in my head that whispered, "What if I say something wrong?" So today, we're going to talk about that moment. The moment between checking in and speaking up. The moment when your voice feels small, but you decide to use it anyway. This isn't going to be a grammar lesson, it's a guide. A real conversation about how to survive and thrive at the doctor's office. We'll break it down, we'll practice real phrases, we'll even laugh a little, because let's be honest. Sometimes English feels like the hardest part of being sick, but it doesn't have to be. So here's the situation. You're not feeling great. Maybe it's a sore throat. Maybe it's just a checkup. You made the appointment. You showed up. Now you're standing at the front desk, and the receptionist smiles and says,
Hi there. Can I get your name and date of birth?
simple, right? But inside your head, it's chaos. What do I say? Do I say my birthday in the American format? Month first? Day first? Wait. Do I say 1993 or 1993? It's okay. We're going to walk through all of that together. Because English at the doctor's office? It's not just about vocabulary. It's about staying calm and sounding like you. So, ready to check in? Let's do this. You know what's funny? We walk into the doctor's office for help with our body, but it's our voice that forgets how to work. It starts at the front desk. You're not even sick yet, just a clipboard, a pen, and 10 little boxes staring back at you like a test you didn't study for. Full name? Easy. Date of birth? Wait. Month first or day first? Emergency contact? Can I just write mom? Yeah. That clipboard feels like it's testing your English before anyone even checks your temperature. But here's a thought. Why is something so simple so scary? I think it's because we're afraid of looking dumb, of saying something wrong, of being judged for how we speak, before they even ask what hurts. And that fear, it doesn't come from the language, it comes from pressure, from thinking that if our English isn't perfect, we'll be misunderstood. But here's a little secret no one told me. Most doctors, they don't care how perfect your English is. They care about your story. They just want to know what's going on inside. So let's pause for a second. What's the real reason your heart races when someone hands you that clipboard? Is it the vocabulary, the form, or the feeling of not being in control? Because once you name the fear, you can start to shrink it. Let's look at a real-life moment. Imagine this. You walk in. There's a receptionist behind the glass window. She looks up and says, "Hi there. What's your name and date of birth?" And you freeze. Not because it's hard, but because your brain is doing 5 things at once. Should I say March 12th or 12th of March? Do I say 1990 or 1990? Why does this feel like a grammar exam? It's not. It's a conversation. And guess what? Even if you say it the wrong way, they'll still understand. Because the goal here is not to impress, it's to be clear. So here's your phrase of the day. My birthday is March 12th, 1990. Nice and easy. And if you want to be more natural, say it like this. Yeah, March 12th, 1990. Simple. No need to overthink it. So, let me ask you something. What's one sentence at the doctor's office that makes you panic? Is it, "What brings you in today?" Or maybe, "Do you have insurance?" Write it down. We're going to handle all of those, one by one. Because today, we're not just learning new words. We're learning how to keep our voice steady when it matters most. And coming up next, we're stepping into the exam room. The lights get brighter. The paper on the bed crinkles, and the doctor walks in. Okay, so you've made it past the clipboard. You filled out the form. You spelled your name 3 times. You even remembered your zip code without Googling it. Victory. And now, you're sitting in that tiny exam room. It's quiet, too quiet. The paper on the exam table makes that crinkly sound every time you move. And your mind? It's already rehearsing the conversation 100 different ways. Then the door opens, and the doctor walks in with that one sentence that makes every learner hold their breath. What seems to be the problem? Now let me ask you something. Why is that sentence so scary? Maybe because it's so open-ended, so vague. It feels like there's no right answer. But guess what? There doesn't need to be one. That question is just a friendly invitation, not an exam. They're not looking for a medical essay. They're just trying to understand what's wrong. So here's a mindset shift. You don't need to sound like a medical dictionary. You just need to describe what you feel. Think of it this way. Instead of saying, I appear to be experiencing acute gastrointestinal discomfort, you can just say, my stomach hurts. And that's more than enough. Let's try a few simple ways to answer that question. The doctor says, what seems to be the problem? You say, I've had a sore throat for 3 days. Or, I feel really tired lately, or even just, my head hurts, especially in the mornings. See the rhythm? Short. Real, personal. Because here's the thing, real communication isn't about big words, it's about real feelings. Now let me throw you a curveball. What if you don't know what's wrong? You just know something feels off. What do you say then? Try this. I'm not sure, but I feel a little dizzy. Or, it's hard to explain, but my chest feels tight sometimes. Even doctors know you're not there to impress them. You're there to tell the truth. And the truth doesn't need perfect grammar. It just needs courage. Quick question for you. What's one symptom you felt before, but didn't know how to say in English? Write it down, because in just a bit, we're going to turn that feeling into a sentence. Now, here's a mini lesson, hidden in plain sight. Notice how we say, I have a headache. Not, my head is pain. That's because in English, symptoms are often spoken like possessions. I have a cold, I have a cough, I have a fever. Easy, right? It's like saying, I have a book. Except this book is annoying and stuck in your throat. So next time someone asks, what's wrong? Don't freeze. Just name it. Even if it's simple, especially if it's simple. Because every sentence you say in that moment isn't just helping you get better. It's helping you grow braver. And coming up next, you'll need that bravery. Because the doctor's going to ask, when did it start? Yeah. Now we're talking timelines. And that's a whole other story. Let's walk into it together. Okay, so you've told the doctor what's wrong, and just when you think the hardest part is over, they hit you with this one. When did it start? Ugh, time questions. Why are they so sneaky? Because they sound simple, but they make you pause. You start thinking, wait, do I say since or for? Do I say 2 days ago or from 2 days before? Is this even the right verb tense? And just like that, the moment feels bigger than it is. But here's the good news. You don't need perfect grammar. You need a story, just a tiny one. Try this. It started 2 days ago. I first felt it last Thursday. It's been happening since Monday. See the rhythm? Simple, clear, enough. Now let's break it down a bit, quietly, gently, so it really sticks. If you use since like Raul's, you're talking about a point in time like Raul's and now, like Raul's like since Monday, since last week. If you use for, Ra's and for, you're talking about the duration, Like for 2 days, for about a week. That's it. It's not about memorizing rules. It's about noticing patterns. Want to practice? Try this. I've had this cough for 3 days. Now switch it. I've had this cough since Monday. Same meaning, different path. You're already doing it. But here's a fun twist. What if you don't remember exactly when it started? Happens all the time, right? Then you just say, I'm not sure, but maybe a few days ago. Or, it started sometime last week, I think. Even native speakers do that. We're not robots. We're humans with fuzzy memories and full lives. Here's a little pattern interrupt for you. When was the last time you felt something but didn't notice it until it got worse? Was it a sore back, a headache, or maybe just stress pretending to be a stomachache? Yeah, been there. These moments at the doctor's office, they're not just about answering questions. They're about paying attention to your body, to your story, and telling it in a way that helps someone else understand. That's communication. Not perfect words, but powerful truth. So let me ask you, if the doctor asked you today, when did it start? What would you say? And what if the real lesson isn't just about English, but about slowing down, noticing, and trusting yourself to speak? Coming up next, we'll take this further. Because the next question is one that trips up even fluent speakers. On a scale from 1 to 10, how bad is the pain? Yup. That one. Let's learn how to answer without freezing, overthinking, or saying, 7 every time. Okay, so you've told the doctor when it started. You're feeling good. But then the clipboard comes back, and here it comes. That question. The one that somehow makes everyone look up at the ceiling and guess. I don't know, maybe a 6? Here's the thing. This question isn't just about numbers. It's about giving your doctor a clear picture, using a language that's not made of grammar. Let's break it down, real quick. If the pain is mild, you can still walk, talk, maybe even joke about it. You might say, maybe a 2 or 3, it's there, but it's okay. If it's strong, like it's hard to focus or sleep, you could say, it's about a 7, it's really uncomfortable. And if it's the kind of pain that makes you tear up or curl up, yeah, that's closer to a 9 or 10. But here's the pattern interrupt. What if you're afraid of sounding dramatic? A lot of English learners hold back here. They say 4 when they mean 8, just to sound reasonable. But guess what? Your job isn't to be polite, it's to be clear. This is not the time to underplay what you're feeling. So let's practice a few honest answers you can use in real life. Try saying, it's about a 5. Not terrible, but it's distracting. Or, it's a 9 when I move, but maybe a 6 when I'm still. And if you're not sure, you can say, I'm not sure exactly, but it hurts a lot when I breathe in. That gives the doctor something useful. You don't need a number, you need a truth. Here's a fun fact. Even native speakers find this hard. Pain is subjective. It's personal. There's no perfect answer, just your answer. So next time someone asks, how bad is it, on a scale from 1 to 10? Don't overthink it. Take a second. Be honest. Because language isn't just about what you say. It's about what you feel safe enough to say. Now let me ask you this. If you had to describe your energy today, from 1 to 10, what would it be? And how would you explain that number without using big words? See how useful this skill is? Coming up next, we're going to explore something even trickier. The moment the doctor says, let's take a look. And suddenly, you're being examined. And don't quite know what to say or do. Yep, it gets awkward, but we'll make it simple and even a little funny. So, you've told the doctor what hurts. You've even rated it on that magical 1 to 10 scale. You're feeling brave, proud. And then the doctor says those 4 simple words, let's take a look. And suddenly your brain goes, wait, what now? Do I lie down? Do I take my shirt off? Nobody teaches you how to act during an exam. Here's the thing. The physical exam is where language meets the body. It's quiet. It's awkward. And it's full of those tiny moments where you're not quite sure what to say. But don't worry. We'll walk through it. Let's start with the basics. The doctor might say, "Can you lift your shirt?" "I'm going to press here. Tell me if it hurts." Take a deep breath in and out. These aren't hard words, but in the moment, even deep breath can feel like advanced vocabulary. So let's practice a few simple responses you can keep in your back pocket. If something hurts when they press, say, "Yes, that's tender," or "That hurts a little." If it feels fine, you can say, "That's okay," or just smile and say, "No pain there." And here's one that always helps. Can you explain what you're doing? It's polite. It shows you're curious. And most doctors are happy to explain, especially when you ask with kindness. Quick story. I once had a student. Her name was Sophia. Lovely woman, strong vocabulary, very formal. During her exam, the doctor asked, "Can you lie back?" And she said, "I regret I do not comprehend." She meant well, but the doctor looked so confused. So we worked on everyday phrases instead. Now she says, "Sorry, can you say that again, more slowly?" And you know what? That one sentence changed everything for her. Let's do a mini role play right now. I'll be the doctor. You be you. Just listen and respond. "Doctor, can you lie back, please?" Doctor, now I'm going to check your stomach. Let me know if anything hurts." Doctor, take a deep breath in and out. Doctor, does this feel sore? Nice job. Even just practicing those little exchanges can build your confidence like nothing else. And here's something most learners never realize. Doctors don't expect you to speak perfect English. They just need clear, honest answers. So don't worry about fancy words. Focus on comfort, connection. And if something feels unclear, just ask. Let me ask you something. What's one phrase a doctor has said to you that left you totally confused? Could be something small, could be something important. But it stuck with you. Hold that memory. Because coming up next, we're going to talk about a phrase that seems super polite, but can actually be confusing if you're not ready for it. Yeah, we're about to explore the infamous, "Let me run some tests." Okay, so you've explained your symptoms. The doctor has poked, prodded, maybe listened to your breathing, and then they say, "Let me run some tests." Now pause. That phrase, "run some tests," can sound so casual in English, but if you've ever been on the other side of it, it's anything but casual. You nod and smile like you understand, but your brain is racing. What kind of tests? Blood tests? X-rays? Am I okay? Should I be worried? Yeah, I've been there. Here's what I've learned. In English, when someone says, "Let me run some tests," it usually means, "We're not sure what's wrong yet, so let's gather more information." It's not a bad sign. So they might say, "We're going to run some blood work," or "I'll run a few labs and let you know." Sounds simple, but what's actually happening? Let's say you're getting blood work. The nurse might say, "I just need to draw a little blood." Now that word, draw, can feel strange, right? But it just means take. No pencils involved. Or maybe it's a urine test, and someone hands you a cup and says, "Can you give us a sample?" A sample, not a full bottle, just a little bit, but nobody tells you that the first time. So yes, it's okay to ask. Now here's the important part. You don't need to understand every detail of the test. You just need to know how to respond. So here are a few helpful phrases. Can you tell me what this test is for? When will I get the results? Do I need to prepare for anything? You're not being difficult. You're being responsible. You're being human. Let me tell you about a learner I met. His name was Kenta. He told me the first time a doctor said, "Let's run an EKG," he thought they meant run, as in exercise. So he started stretching in the hallway. True story, we laughed for a week. But you know what? He never forgot what EKG meant after that. So if you're wondering, how much should I ask? Am I bothering them? Here's your answer. Ask. You deserve to know what's happening to your body. Now, next time a doctor says, "We'll call you with the results," don't just wait in silence. Practice saying, "When should I expect a call?" Or, "If I don't hear back, should I follow up?" Because good communication doesn't stop after the test. And that leads us to something people rarely talk about in English learning. How do you talk about results, especially when you don't fully understand what they mean? That's where we're headed next. So, the call comes in, your phone buzzes. Maybe you're in the middle of dinner, or folding laundry, or just pretending not to be nervous, and then you hear it. "Hi, your test results are in." That moment, right there, is when everything gets quiet. Because now, it's real. Now, you're not just wondering, you're about to know. And I've got a question for you. Have you ever not asked something because you didn't know how to say it in English? Yeah, me too. Here's the thing most people won't tell you. Understanding your test results isn't about having a medical degree. It's about knowing what questions to ask, clearly, calmly, and without fear of sounding stupid. And today, that's what we're going to practice. Let's start simple. When someone says, "Your test results are in," you can say, "Okay, can you walk me through them?" That phrase, "walk me through," is gold. It means explain slowly, step by step. It's friendly, it's respectful, it works every time. Now, what if they say something you don't understand? Let's say, "Your cholesterol is slightly elevated." Wait, elevated? That just means a little high. And slightly? That means not too much. So, not a crisis, but something to watch. Here's what you can say. Is that dangerous? What can I do to fix it? Do I need medication? 3 short questions, all powerful, because questions show you care. And care is never a weakness. Let me tell you a story. A student of mine, Diego, once got a call from his clinic. They said, "Your A1C is elevated." And he thought, "Wait, who is A1C? Is that a person?" Totally fair. Turns out A1C is a blood sugar marker. He didn't know. But when he finally asked, "What is A1C?" the nurse smiled and explained everything. That's when Diego told me, "Anna, I was more scared of sounding dumb than of being sick." And that broke my heart a little, because no one should feel that way in any language. So here's your toolkit. The next time someone says, "Your test results are back," try this. 1. Can you explain that in simpler terms? 2. Is there anything I should be doing differently? 3. Is this urgent or something we'll monitor? Those 3 will take you far, and if you forget them, just say this one. I want to make sure I understand. Can you say that again more clearly? No shame, no fear, just clarity. So now I want to ask you, what's one medical phrase that's confused you before? Write it down. Ask about it. You might be surprised how easy the answer is once you hear it in real English. And speaking of answers, let's talk about what happens when the results lead to something more serious. Because the next step isn't always a prescription. Sometimes, it's a conversation you didn't expect. So, you've been waiting for your results. You finally get them. And the doctor looks at you and says, "We might need to refer you to a specialist." And suddenly your brain goes, "Wait, refer me? To who? Why? What does that mean? Am I okay?" That word, refer, it sounds serious, doesn't it? Like you're being sent to the principal's office. But let's slow that down, because a referral is not a punishment. It's actually a sign of care. When a doctor says, "We're going to refer you," they mean, "We want someone with more specific experience to take a closer look." That's it. It doesn't mean they're giving up on you. It means they're making sure you get exactly what you need. And here's something most learners don't realize. Referrals are common in American healthcare. You see your general doctor first. But if something's outside their area, they connect you with someone who focuses on that one thing. Like a puzzle piece, a referral just completes the picture. But let's be real. When you hear that word for the first time in English, it's confusing. So here are a few things you can say in that moment. Can you explain why I'm being referred? Who am I being referred to? What should I expect during that visit? And if you're really unsure, you can always ask, is this something serious? Simple. Director. Human. Let me tell you a quick story. My friend Maya once got referred to a cardiologist. She panicked. I didn't even know I had a heart problem. But it turned out it was just for a routine check because her blood pressure was slightly high. No big drama, just follow up. She told me later, I was more scared of the word cardiologist than what was actually happening, Rican. Words can do that to us. So here's your reminder. You're allowed to ask. You're allowed to slow the moment down. You're allowed to say, can you write that down for me? Because medical English is fast and stressful and full of big words. But clarity, that's a skill you can practice. And the more you practice, the more empowered you become in those moments. So now I want to ask you, have you ever been referred to someone and didn't really understand why? What do you wish you had asked? Write it down. Say it out loud. Because in the next part, we're talking about something even more personal. How to describe your medical history, especially when it's long, complicated, or hard to explain in English. So the doctor looks at you and says, let's talk about your medical history. And just like that, your mind starts racing. You think, where do I start? Do I talk about my surgery 10 years ago? What if I forget a word? What if I say it wrong? And maybe, just maybe, you smile politely and say, no big history, even if that's not true. Yeah, we've all been there. Here's the thing no one tells you. Talking about your medical history isn't just about facts. It's about telling your story clearly, calmly, and with confidence. But let's be honest. Doing that in English? Not easy. So let's break it down. When a doctor says, tell me about your history, they usually mean three things. 1, past illnesses or surgeries. 2, any medication you're taking. 3, family history of certain conditions. That's it. They're not asking for your autobiography, just the basics, organized and easy to follow. Here's a helpful trick. Think in categories, like little chapters of your health story. Chapter 1, past issues. You can say, I had surgery on my knee in 2019, or I used to have asthma, but it's better now. Chapter 2, current meds. Try, I take blood pressure medicine every day. Or even just, no medications right now. Chapter 3, family history. You can say, my mom has diabetes. Heart problems run in my family. Simple, clear, real. And if you forget a word, you can always say, I don't know the name, but I can describe it. Here's a funny moment. A friend once told her doctor, I had a problem with my chicken bone. She meant collarbone. But guess what? The doctor figured it out, because when you try, people help. So here's your practice challenge. Can you describe your medical history in 3 short sentences? Try it now. Say it out loud. No need for perfection, just presence. And if you ever feel overwhelmed, remember, you're not just giving information. You're building trust. You're helping someone help you. Coming up next, we'll look at the final step. How to wrap up the appointment, ask follow-up questions, and make sure you leave feeling clear, calm, and confident. Because the conversation doesn't end when the doctor stands up. So the doctor stands up. They smile and say, "All right, we'll see you again in 2 weeks." And just like that, you're wondering, wait, am I done? What should I do next? Was I supposed to ask something? Let me tell you something important. The end of a doctor's visit is not the end of your care. It's the beginning of what you do next. But if you've ever left the clinic feeling confused or unsure, you're not alone. I've walked out with prescriptions I didn't understand, instructions I forgot to write down, and 100 little questions I didn't ask. Why? Because I didn't want to bother anyone, because I felt rushed, because I didn't know how to ask. So today, let's talk about that moment, when it's time to leave, but you still need just a little more clarity. Here's your power phrase. Before I go, can I ask a quick question? It works like magic. You can follow up with, when should I take this medicine? What side effects should I watch for? Is it okay to eat before the test? Should I call if it gets worse? Simple. Respectful. Director, you don't need perfect grammar. You just need courage to ask. Let's be honest. Many of us were raised to not question authority. But in healthcare, asking is not disrespectful. It's responsible. So here's a small practice moment. Say this with me. Can you repeat that part again? Can you repeat that part again? What should I do if I feel worse? What should I do if I feel worse? Could you write that down for me? Could you write that down for me? Feels better, right? Here's something funny. One time I misunderstood my doctor and thought she said, "Take 2 pills every minute." Luckily, I asked for clarification, and yes, it was per meal, not minute. Huge difference. So let me ask you, what's one question you wish you'd asked a doctor before? Write it down. Practice saying it. So next time, you don't freeze. Remember, the end of the appointment is your moment to own. Don't rush it. Take a breath. Say just one last question, and get the clarity you need. Because healing doesn't only happen in the exam room. It happens when you walk out feeling informed, empowered, and ready to take care of yourself. And hey, coming up next, we're going to take everything we've learned today and bring it all together in one final scene, from walking into the clinic to walking out with confidence. Are you ready to live this moment out loud? All right, my friend, you've made it all the way here. We've unpacked the clipboard, the questions, the exam, the test results, the referrals, everything that makes a doctor's visit feel overwhelming. But now, it's your turn. Let's walk through the full scene together, like it's really happening. Not as a drill, not as a test, but as your story. Let's start at the door. You walk into the clinic. The nurse gives you a form. Your hands feel a little shaky, but that's okay, you've got this. Here's your first line. Say it with me. Hi, I have an appointment at 10. Hi, I have an appointment at 10. Here's my ID and insurance card. Here's my ID and insurance card. Now you're sitting in the waiting room. Your name gets called. You follow the nurse to the exam room. She checks your blood pressure and says, "The doctor will be in soon." Deep breath. Now the doctor walks in and asks, "So, what brings you in today?" Say it with me, your truth. I've been feeling really tired lately, and I'm not sure why. I've been feeling really tired lately, and I'm not sure why. See how honest that sounds? The doctor nods and says, "When did this start?" You answer, "Maybe about 2 weeks ago. I thought it would go away, but it hasn't." Maybe about 2 weeks ago. I thought it would go away, but it hasn't. Then comes the next classic question. How bad is the fatigue on a scale of 1 to 10? You smile and say, "Maybe a 6, but it feels like a 9 when I try to focus." Maybe a 6, but it feels like a 9 when I try to focus. That's real English. Not perfect, just human. Now they say, "Let's take a look." You nod. Sure, simple, safe. Then, after the exam, we might run a few blood tests just to be sure. You say, "Okay, do I need to fast for those?" Okay, do I need to fast for those? Look at that. You're asking the right questions. Time passes. You're back for results. Doctor says, your test results are in, and you respond, can you explain them to me? Can you explain them to me? What does that number mean? What does that number mean? They mention referring you to a specialist. You ask, is it serious? What should I expect? Finally, they ask if you have any other questions. Here's your line. Before I go, can I ask one more thing? Before I go, can I ask one more thing? Should I follow up in person or over the phone? Should I follow up in person or over the phone? And now you leave that clinic with more than just a prescription. You leave with clarity, confidence, and the knowledge that your voice was part of your care. Let me ask you something. Which line from today's roleplay did you feel the most? Which part made you go, yes, that's what I needed? Write it down. Practice it. Make it yours. Because in English and in life, you don't need to sound perfect. You just need to sound like you. And guess what? That's enough. So here we are, my friend. You've walked through every step of a doctor's visit, from the first awkward clipboard moment to the final handshake goodbye. And now, I want to ask you something simple. What part of today made you feel the most human? Not the most fluent. Not the most correct. The most you. Because that's what this whole episode has been about. Not mastering medical English, but reclaiming your voice in a vulnerable moment. Let's pause and reflect. What did we learn? You learned that it's okay to say, I don't understand. Can you say that again? You learned how to describe your pain, even if it's confusing. How to ask about test results, follow-ups, referrals. How to be honest about your history, without overthinking every word. And more than anything, you learned that connection always matters more than perfection. Now here's your real mission. Not a homework assignment, not a grammar drill, a real-life moment. This week, I want you to use just one sentence from today, in the real world. At a clinic, with a friend, or even while practicing in front of the mirror. Maybe it's, I'm here for an appointment. Or, can you explain that one more time? Or just, I'm nervous, but I'm speaking anyway. Say it out loud. Write it down. Use it. And when you do, come back and tell me. Leave a comment. Share your moment, no matter how big or small. Because that's what builds this community. Not grammar trophies, but brave, honest voices. Here's the truth no one tells you. Fluency doesn't arrive all at once. It grows, one sentence at a time. And every time you speak, even shakily, you water that growth. So, tell me this. What sentence are you planting this week? Say it now. Whisper it if you have to. But don't let it stay in your head. Because once it's spoken, it's yours. And don't worry, this journey is far from over. Next time, we're going to face one of the most frustrating moments in English. That moment when someone speaks too fast, you catch nothing. And you have no idea what to say next. What do you do? How do you survive that awkward silence, and maybe even turn it into a real conversation? We'll talk about all of it, soon. But for now, just breathe. You've done more than enough for today. You showed up, you listened, you practiced, and most importantly, you grew. I'm proud of you.